Ever since the Nissan Leaf was launched in 2010, a total of 280,000 units were sold worldwide, making it the best-selling battery electric vehicle. Well, which isn't surprising because the Leaf was actually the only car of its kind back then. Today, more BEVs from other brands have joined the mass market scene, including the Chevrolet Bolt, Hyundai Ioniq and Renault Zoe, as such. Thus, the success story of BEVs, even if not extraordinary, has led Nissan in unveiling the second-generation Leaf in Japan recently before rolling out it into global markets by next year. And here are some good news. As the Leaf's new rivals are being represented by brands in Thailand that are either weak or non-existent, Nissan has found it the right opportunity to start selling its latest BEV on an official basis in late 2018. Sure, the Thai government wants to lure makers in building BEVs, as well as semi-electric versions tagged as HEVs and PHEVs. But as the BEV is a completely new thing to Thais, it needs familiarization before being able to go into large-scale production in the country. That's why makers who will commit themselves to BEV assembly will be able to initially import such cars with exemption and import duties. So, if a nicely equipped Leaf goes for just under 4 million yen in Japan, Thai punters can expect to pay around 1.5 million baht for it, or maybe less with more basic features. Considering its C-segment dimensions, it's quite a tall order for the Leaf because that price level is the playground of mid-size family cars like the Tina. But from another angle, new technology initially comes at a price, explaining why Toyota's Thai-built Prius once sold for some 1.3 million baht in now defunct, third-gen form. It might be a little too early to deliver a definite verdict for the new Leaf after driving it for the first time in Japan late last month. But there are many things to like about it if you've managed to clear yourself from some hurdles in owning a BEV. The first one naturally is price. Forking out 1.5 million baht for the Leaf can get you bigger saloons, as said earlier, and even generously sized SUVs of several types. That said, you probably need to be an early adopter of new technologies to accept the Leaf for what it is. The second one is driving range. As you may have already noticed in the sidebar regarding the Leaf's technical highlights, the touring distance has doubled to 400 kilometers thanks to a higher density lithium-ion battery pack. Sure, constant use of air conditioning and unpredictable traffic conditions in Thailand will certainly drain more energy. However, half that claimed distance should most likely cover the needs of urbanites who merely require charging at home and needn't rely on a government-invested charging grid. Infrastructure, the third point BEV users are highly like to ponder about. For those who want to substitute their weekend family cars with a BEV, might as well just forget it for the time being. That's because there really isn't one in place covering the whole of Thailand. Which is why the Leaf won't sell in large numbers yet and will probably end up being a second or third car in your garage. Does it drive well? Having driven the first-gen Leaf on Thai roads and the new one in the city of Yokohama, it's safe to say that there are improvements but not a massive scale, aside that critical claimed enhancement in driving range. Let's start with the looks. From what used to be a frumpy-looking car from the onset, the Leaf has now transformed itself on the catwalk with more balanced proportions and playful exterior colors. Yes, the new Leaf should be able to attract a wider audience. Then there's the interior design, which doesn't look space age anymore and tends to come in line with other Nissans currently on sale. There might be two ways of perceiving this. One is that the new Leaf's tidier dashboard may help keep people who have been converted to BEVs familiar with how the way things work. The other is that the new Leaf won't feel unique or sci-fi anymore. Maybe the pioneering Leaf was ahead of its time, or Nissan found it necessary to put more common parts shared with other conventionally powdered models in the new Leaf, the steering wheel being one example. Even so, it's still quite a nice place if you don't expect the Leaf to have a premium feeling of luxury cars. While the version with leather seats certainly looks pleasing on the eyes, it lacks the cushiness of the cloth variation. But we can already see the average Thai preferring the former in a car costing this much. Despite sitting on a generous wheelbase length, the Leaf isn't exactly a roomy car when compared to other C-segment hatchbacks. Blimey, even this smaller B-segment Note has more rear legroom. And because Nissan finds it necessary to install a tunnel in the center of the cabin to house various electrical harness, it doesn't feel airy in the back. Rounding off the practicality assessment is a low boot that isn't flat when the highly placed rear seats are folded down. Packaging-wise, the Leaf isn't a marvel yet. Dynamically speaking, the Leaf isn't perfect either, if better than before. The steering wheel still turns quite casually and the ride can be lumpy over rutted roads. But the ride on highways is nicely controlled and generally quiet. Nissan engineers say there will be 4 different setups depending on region: Japan, Asia, Europe and North America. There's a possibility that the Leaf may have more ground clearance and a softer damping to cope with Thai roads, which is quite understandable. But whether a quicker steering as the Europeans are getting, and a firmer ride which seems unnecessary in this part of the world, would be featured is something only driving enthusiasts would yearn for. Yes, the Japanese version doesn't provide for any driving fun, but that would possibly be missing the point in a BEV aimed at the masses. But the all-electric performance, as in any other BEV, is cool. Although the rather controlled driving conditions didn't really permit us to discover the Leaf's true performance potential, acceleration is instantaneous, mid-range remains responsive and the overall experience is smooth and quiet. A particularly new feature is the so-called e-pedal operation. Switch it on via a button ahead of the gear knob and you can drive with just your right foot. Press the throttle to go and lift off for braking. The car will come to an automatic stop even on gradients. Some may find the deceleration rate, which you can't adjust, to sometimes be a little forceful. But generally speaking, e-pedal works well and is a good substitute for conventional deceleration because the brake pedal has such a wooden feel, similarly as in the previous Leaf. There are 2 other driver assist functions the new Leaf is trying to holler. One is the automatic cruise control and lane keeping function on single-lane highways referred to as Level 2 autonomous driving. In fact, this can already been found in the Japanese spec Serena MPV. The other one is more novel, has to do with automated parking, whereby the Leaf can perform parallel parking, backing or forwarding into parking spaces. While certainly useful and here to stay for the future, it works so slow that you might be able to finish a fact before the whole process is done. It would be nice if it worked faster because you really don't want to keep up others in parking areas. Generally speaking, though, the Leaf has moved the BEV game forward, just that some fine-tuning is needed, be it about those driver assist functions or the driving characteristics themselves. If we had to pick the best bits of the new Leaf, it would be no other than its electrified performance, enhanced driving range and e-pedal operation. Let's just hope that other factors, which brands of other BEV models must also face, can be sorted by both the state and private sector simultaneously. No BEVs for sale means no infrastructure. As a Nissan executive rightly said, let's not make it a chicken or egg game first dilemma.
There is no need to rush to your local dealer for a new Nissan Leaf. For a start, the Leaf 2.0 electric car is still more than a year away. It's also unlikely to be any cheaper than the $51,000-ish of the outgoing Leaf, even if the last of those cars were offered to fleet buyers at about $32,000. On the road, Nissan promises the new Leaf will double its plug-in battery range, from 200 km to 400 km. Further, it looks sharper in the bodywork and its new technological wizardry includes regenerative braking, a rear vision camera and what Nissan calls e-pedal. The driver relies only on the accelerator for all but the most dramatic stopping. A short preview drive in Tokyo with Leaf 2.0 shows that Nissan has done some worthwhile updating, but it's still not a breakthrough car. Yes, the platform itself is carryover from the original Leaf, so we can use the same battery size, says Chief Vehicle Engineer Hiroki Asobe. He says rearranging the fundamental physics inside the battery, including the lithium cells, doubles the energy density. The car will accelerate to 100 km per hour in 8.0 seconds. For peace of mind, he says the Leaf's battery warranty is 8 years and 160,000 kilometers. Acceleration and quartering is already at a good level, compared with a combustion engine. To enhance the EV experience, we also introduced the e-pedal, which allows the driver to use just the accelerator for most driving. It has very smooth deceleration and can hold the car on a hill. The latest Leaf still takes 8 hours to charge at home, but Nissan is close to a commercial inductive setup, where the owner parks over a magnetic coil in the garage floor that's like a giant electric toothbrush charger. There is no news yet on the cost. Instead of wheel-mounted generators to charge the battery and provide regenerative braking, the new Leaf taps the conventional hydraulic braking circuit to generate charge and provide a more normal braking feel. Each Leaf, he says, has a cast aluminium case for the electrical inverter that's made in Australia, complete with a kangaroo stamp. In Japan, a land of nuclear power and endless traffic congestion, an electric car like the Nissan Leaf makes lots of sense. Our very short preview drive in and around Tokyo includes light freeway traffic where I can get the car briefly up to 100 km per hour. It is as quiet and smooth as the original Leaf, with real punch from traffic lights, although the ride seems more jerky than before. The car stands out in traffic, but I'm disappointed that the Stormtrooper-style white plastic panels have been dropped from the cabin and it's now filled with cheap, hard black plastic. Rear vision comes from a camera feeding a monitor in the shape and position of a regular central mirror. The camera gives a great view, but the display is disconcerting. Asob says this can be fixed. I'm a great fan of the e-pedal, and only once do I use my left foot on the brake to come to a halt at a traffic light. The test car is fitted with ProPilot, which Nissan claims is a first step towards autonomous driving. In fact, it's radar cruise control with lane keep assistance. The operation is coarse and jerky compared with that of other makes. There is no spare in the car, which helps with luggage capacity, though Nissan is planning a space saver for Australia. There are inevitable questions about the claimed range of 400 km between charges, but the biggest question for Australia is the price. Nissan Australia could have a winner if it gets a deal that works for more than a handful of early adopters and full-on greenies. It has a 12-month window to negotiate with head office.